Hi, I'm Lynette and welcome to my channel. Today I am bringing you another update on how much money I've spent on makeup in 2019. So if you've been here before, perhaps you saw my last video, my first update. If not, no worries. I will link it up there above for your viewing pleasure. So when I talk about how much money I've spent on makeup in 2019, I'm not talking about the whole of makeup. I'm talking about those products that are my Achilles heel that really make me want to run out and impulsively buy. And that's two areas: lipsticks and eyeshadows. I have a real weakness for those two. So this year I didn't decide to do a no buy because for me it's just not realistic. I love makeup too much. I love eyeshadow and lipstick too much to say that for a whole year I'm not gonna buy any. So I didn't go that route, and I didn't do an official low buy. But unofficially I'm just really trying to make better, more thought out choices when it comes to buying eyeshadows and lipsticks, rather than just running out and buying something as soon as I see it and I like it and I love it and I want it. I'm really trying to be a little more thoughtful about my purchases going forward in those two areas going forward. Because, you know, I have a lot of eyeshadow already. I have a lot of lipstick already that is not getting used. And I don't want to keep adding to the collection, but I don't want to not buy more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to find some kind of happy medium. And when I say happy, I mean one that I can feel comfortable about. So, I did give you an update last month, February, on the makeup that I purchased. I did, right? Didn't I? I think I did a twofer. I think I did January. Yes, I told you about January. And I also told you my purchases in February. I'm looking down at my notes. So now I'm going to update you for the money I spent on eyeshadow and lipsticks in the month of March. Now, let's start with what I bought, okay? And you're gonna be happy with your girl. You're gonna be proud of me. You're gonna be proud of your girl, cause I only spent $10 on those items in the month of March. Can you believe it? $10. I bought two Wet n Wild High Shine lipsticks, which I showed you in my last video, my last mini Ulta haul. So those were the only two lip products that I purchased. I bought no eyeshadows in the month of March. I can't even believe it. Well, I did get the ABH Riviera palette, the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the new Riviera eyeshadow palette. This baby right here. And you did see me do a tutorial using the palette, but it doesn't count because I didn't actually spend money, my hard-earned money on it. I actually exchanged it for Sephora rewards points. So this cost me nothing. Thank you. Thank you very much. So my grand total for March spending is $10. So that brings me, that $10 that I spent in March, it brings me to a yearly total thus far of $133.20 that I have spent on eyeshadows and lipsticks. And I have to say, I mean, no, I was about to say there wasn't a lot that came out that I really wanted, but that's not true, because now I'm going to tell you about all the things, eyeshadows and lipsticks, I didn't buy for the month of March. And it's a pretty impressive list, if I do say so myself. Now, I've decided to not only keep track of the money that I've spent, but to keep track of all the things I didn't buy and the money I didn't spend on eyeshadows and lipsticks, because I feel like for me, it's going to help me along. If I'm having a month where I've spent way more than I wanted to, and I'm able to compare that with a lot of the other things that I didn't purchase. You know, maybe I won't beat up on myself so much. And then on the converse, where like this month I spent very little, and then there were a whole lot of items that I didn't spend money on. So, you know, I think the two for me go hand in hand, and the two together are going to help me, I hope, try to get some control over the spending. So, what didn't I buy in the month of March? Some of these things are older items that I've been thinking about and that I really felt compelled at one point during the month to go ahead and buy, but restrained myself. And then others are things that were actually launched in the month of March. Starting with the Colored Rain Safari Rain eyeshadow palette. Now, I do have eyeshadows from Colored Rain, and I do have a couple of their eyeshadow palettes. They make quality stuff, so I know without using it, without having bought it, I know that this palette, I'm sure, is going to be of similar quality, which is good. And the color story is nice, not really unique, certainly not unique for me in my collection at this point, my collection being so large, but that green eyeshadow, they got me. They really got me with that palette. But, you know, keeping this in mind about how I didn't want to go out and impulsively spend, keeping in mind that I was going to be coming on camera at some point and updating you about what I've been doing, really helped me to keep myself in check when it comes to that palette. And I mean, it's a beautiful palette, but I have warm eyeshadow palettes already. I have a beautiful green. I have several beautiful green eyeshadow palettes. I think of the Tribe, the Juvia's Place Tribe palette that I purchased recently. And so there was a moment when I really wanted to snag it, but then I just kept reminding myself about, oh, you already have all of those colors or similar colors in your collection, and you have some beautiful greens. The Sydney Grace single eyeshadow, green eyeshadows I recently picked up. So I do have quite a few nice green shadows in my collection already. So I was able to stave off that impulse. And speaking of green eyeshadows, ColourPop released their Just My Luck palette for, I think it was St. Patrick's Day, and that's their monochromatic green eyeshadow palette. And they've been on a roll. They've got the It's My Pleasure purple palette, they have the Ooh La La pink palette, and now they have the monochromatic green Just My Luck palette. And I went on the website the day it launched, and I put it in my cart along with a bunch of other stuff to bring me to the $50 minimum in order to get free shipping. And then I X'd out of it. I closed out the web page, which I do on a regular basis. Let me know in the comments below. Do you do that too? Do you go to websites and put a whole bunch of stuff in your cart, whether it's makeup or clothes or shoes or pocketbooks or whatever it is, and then get to checkout and then just X out of it? I do that all the time with makeup, because by the time I put it in the cart and I go and I look for other stuff to put in the cart and I get to check out, I've given myself enough time to really think about, Lynette, do you really want to do this? Do you really need this? And usually the answer is no. This month at least it was no. And then for a while I was really thinking, I'm not going to buy it now, I'm going to wait, but I'm going to get it. Like, I'm going to get it. I'm just not going to get it now, but I'm going to get it. And the longer that I've gone without it, the more tutorials that I've seen with the palette here on YouTube. People have done some beautiful looks, but I don't know if it's not, some people have had some difficulties with some of the shades. People have noted that the shades, a few of the shades are very similar to one another. And the longer that I've gone without buying it, the less I feel this need to go out and buy it. And again, I remind myself of the green eyeshadows that I've recently picked up, and that whole sense of urgency has sort of subsided. So I'm really happy about that. And that's one of the great things about really giving yourself sort of like a the word is escaping me, but you give yourself this little period of time where you don't act, and then afterwards, sometimes, as in this case, you find that, okay, that feeling kind of subsided and I don't really need or want that palette in the way that I thought I did, or that I did a few days ago. So, yay! So that's a $12 palette. The Colored Rain palette is $39. And then LA Girl came out with some new palettes. I think it was maybe four or five new palettes, Fanatic eyeshadow palettes they're called. And there was one in particular, Surreal Dream, that really interested me. It's sort of like this smoky palette, cool tone smoky palette. And I saw maybe maybe a couple of tutorials with it here on YouTube, and the pigmentation looked really good. And it's on the LA Girl website for $12, I believe, but Ulta has them for $10.99, and I happened to be at Ulta when they were having a sale, and the palettes were marked down to like $8.49 or something like that. They were less than $9 each. And I actually swatched one, I picked one up, I carried it around with me, and then right before I went to checkout, I put it down because I just kept thinking to myself about all of these palettes. I'm like, this whole side of my desk is eyeshadow palettes, some of which I've never used, most of which I've used maybe 1 or 2 times. And I just kept reminding myself of that. And it's definitely a palette that I wanted to show here on my channel. For those of you that might not be aware of these new palettes, and that was the other side of it, not just for myself, but I really wanted to show you this palette. But I resisted. I resisted. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it at $10.99. I didn't buy it at $8.49. I didn't buy it at $12. I didn't buy it, so yay! And now the longer I've gone on without it, it's another one of those palettes where I feel like I don't really even think about it anymore. So yes. Moving right along, Profusion has come out with some new eyeshadow palettes. And Profusion, they make it very difficult not to purchase from them. They have some really nice palettes, nice color stories. I do have one of them, the Confidence palette that you did see here on my channel. I believe I hauled it in a video. This is what it looks like. It's one of their 21 pan palettes. It was only $9.99. I got it from Target. And you haven't seen me use this palette on camera, but I've used it like 3 times, and I actually did film a look with it using it once. I did a green eyeshadow look, and that footage was trash and will never see the light of day. And there was actually a time when I had to consciously tell myself, girl, listen, put the palette down, because every time I did my eyeshadow, I picked up this palette to use it. I haven't used these beautiful, warm, orangey shades yet, but I'm going to. This is a really nice palette. It's nicely pigmented. The shimmer shades, you know, need to be wet. They don't really do much for me when they're dry, but they work really nicely when wet. And the mattes are nice, and surprisingly, like all of the shades that I've tried in the mattes so far have shown up on me. It comes with a brush, which I don't have in front of me right now, and the brush is actually pretty daggone good. So they came out with some new eyeshadow palettes, and 2 of them caught my eye. One of them is the Festival palette, and something about those greens in that palette, just the color story in that palette, just really nice. And I thought to myself, ooh. And I mean, well, these are $13. They're not $10. They're $13. I don't know if they're 35 pan palettes. I think they're 35 pan palettes, so maybe that's why they're more expensive. And then there's the Paradise palette, which again just has these purples in it and these greens and blues, and oh my gosh, I was itching to pick up either one of those, both of those palettes, to be honest with you. And because they're so cheap, and because the quality, at least of the one that I have, is so good, and because I wanted to bring them to you here on my channel. But I have successfully thus far talked myself out of buying them. So at $13 each, that's $26 I have yet to spend. Now, this is one of those eyeshadow palettes where I'm thinking maybe down the line I might go ahead and get. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not going to buy it, I'm not going to buy it. I still might. If I end up at my local Target and I see them, I might buy them. But as of right now, for the month of March, for the month that they were released, I have not purchased them yet. So, and then this is not a new palette. This is an old palette, but it's a palette I've had my eye on since it was launched. I don't know how long ago at this point. And it's from BH Cosmetics, and it's the Zodiac 2 palette. It's the follow-up to the original Zodiac palette. And I don't know, just something about the color story in that palette, the warm tones in that palette, it just speaks to me. It speaks to my heart. And I've had my eye on that palette for a very long time. It retails for $21.60. BH Cosmetics always has a sale, and they had earlier in the month had a sale, and I went on there specifically to probably buy that palette, to be honest with you. And it was on sale, I think, but I think it was like $15 or $14. I don't know. It just seemed like more than I wanted to spend on that palette at that time. So I didn't pull the trigger on it, and I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. This is another one of those palettes where I might down the line, like I haven't totally closed the door on it, I might down the line pick it up. But, you know, of course it'll be on sale. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, in the current day, I have not purchased it, so more money saved. So, of all of these palettes that came out in the March, like January and February, I did awful. Like everything that I put on my list that I didn't buy, I ended up buying. So this month, I rebounded. I came back strong. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't buy. So if I were to total up all of the prices of all of those palettes that I wanted at one time or another this month, but have somehow was able to not go out and buy, that total comes up to $103.59. So I have saved myself $103.59 for the month of March. I'm excited about it. I am, and this, you know, I feel lifted. This gives me a nice little boost. This gives me the motivation to want to keep going, you know, like a diet when you lose those first couple of pounds that week. And it's not a lot, but it's like, okay, it's working, I did well, I'm going to keep going for next week. So that's the same kind of mentality and the same thinking that I'm doing here with eyeshadows and lipsticks. I don't know what next month holds. I don't know what new releases these brands are gonna spring on us, but I'm trying to stay strong, and it's all that I can do. Let me know in the comments below. Have there been any new launches and releases that have piqued your interest, but that you have successfully talked yourself out of? And on the converse, were there some things out that you were like, oh, have my name written all over it, and you went out and bought? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. If you liked this video and would like to see me continue bringing you updates about my spending or lack thereof, then please go ahead and like this video and consider subscribing, because I do these videos along with makeup reviews, hauls, and swatches here. Oh, and tutorials. Let's not forget tutorials here on my channel every Saturday. As always, I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye-bye.